Yo, big love for everyone that checked out episode 2 of the Unheard podcast. We really appreciate any of the feedback, any of the interactions on social media, any of the questions that were sent in for episode 2 and any that you sent in for episode 3. We would not be in the position we are now, even with only 2 episodes down, without your guys' community involvement. It is greatly appreciated, and thank you very much. Right, let's get into it, shall we?
Gray, do you want to introduce this week's podcast sponsor, mate?
Big, juicy, anime milkies.
You're listening to the Unheard podcast.
We've got tons to talk about, haven't we? We've been like pinging away at each other with messages in our little thread. So we've got all kinds coming up. Big Sal, have you got kind of a list for us or not?
We're going to mix it up a little bit today, mate, and we're going to talk about the cost of gaming.
The cost of gaming, or rather the cost of content.
The cost of gaming and the cost of content.
So what I wanted to do, just kind of as a little bit of a segment, was for us to discuss just quickly over 15 minutes what we are in for every month on a cyclical basis. Yeah. So what subscriptions have you got? Not like who you're subscribing to, but you know, have you got YouTube? Have you got Twitter? Are you subscribed to gaming services? How much is your internet? Average out your electricity bill and stuff like that. So that, and then we come to a collective shit. We're spending how much each month?
I'm fairly sure my outgoings probably outweigh what I bring in from Twitch.
Oh,
100%.
Oh, for sure, mine do as well. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it does for all 4 of us, boys.
Yeah,
It was just kind of a bit of an open, and you don't have to be saying, well, you know, today British Gas took £57.12 out of my account, and we're not going that far into it.
Yeah.
I just wanted to kind of have a bit of a chat with you and get your feel on, because we're all professionals and we've got jobs, yeah. Whether they pay us enough or whether they don't, we've got jobs and we're very fortunate to be in full-time employment. But there are a lot of people out there that aren't, and they're relying on this. And if then they are kind of on the same balances that we are, or you maybe shave off 20% because we probably sub into more people than they are, right? How on earth is it flipping affordable for people? And we briefly discussed this, Sal, didn't we, when we met and had a coffee?
We sure did, my mate.
How do people manage? How do they make it work? It's the cost of it. I've done mine, and I don't mind sharing with you. So, like, including electricity, internet, Twitch subs, YouTube. I don't have Twitter because I'm not obviously blue tick wanker. All right, I'm spending over £252 a month.
Jesus
That's
Christ.
That doesn't include giveaways that I've done.
That's quite a lot, mate.
£252 a month.
I think one of your giveaways would equal more than that.
Oh yeah, probably. I mean, the 40. What was it you got? The 4070 Ti that you won?
Yeah.
You know, that was still a strong 800 quid card or something, wasn't it?
Yeah.
At the time. So yeah, but that's not what that's about. That didn't cost me that. You know, and I didn't give stuff away that, you know, I've gone and bought. If I've been fortunate enough to be given a favour, it has cost me something. I'm not going to lie, but it is nowhere near cost me what RRP is, which is why I can give it away and why I can push it back into the communities and help other people out. The same with the monitors and things like that, you know. And historically, Dan, you know, a lot of stuff has come to me that way, and it's just been tossed in the loft in a box.
Yeah. Gray's Electronic
Loft.
Boutique.
Yeah, with the loft hookers. So yeah, I was just a kind of little. I was just interested in where we were with kind of like sustainability, and 252 quid a month is a lot of money.
It is a lot of money, yeah. Yeah,
it's a lot of money.
Yeah.
And I'm very fortunate if I make a quarter of that from Twitch. You know,
I get a payout from Twitch once every 4 or 5 months.
Yeah, mine's probably once a quarter. Yeah, once every 3 months.
And it's bare minimum. It's like threshold payment. Like, here you go.
Yeah,
You're finally over the line. Here's your money.
Yeah,
The way that I work my bills every month is I get my salary, I put money aside into a joint bank account for outgoings, but that does include, internet, gas, electricity, things like that. So
Yeah.
and then whatever's left is pennies for Sal.
I like that.
So obviously then what I choose to do with that is down to me, if you know what I mean. So
Yeah.
that's why I
If
will.
you spend it on Twitch, it's your call.
Exactly,
if you spend
mate,
it
yeah.
on giving
Exactly,
on donos to people, it's your call, isn't it?
100%, mate, yeah.
It doesn't affect you. It doesn't affect your bills and stuff like that. Yeah,
So
I understand that.
One for everyone, but you don't have to answer if you don't want to. But what do you do with your Twitch payouts?
When I get paid out from Twitch, I just recycle the money back into it.
You pump it straight back into Twitch.
Yeah, put it all straight back into Twitch.
Yeah.
Mine's sitting in a little account.
I do the same thing. I have a separate bank account that it all goes into. I've got a Monzo account that I just send it to.
Don't get me wrong, though. In 2020, it was very different to what it is now. When I started in 2020, I was getting payouts every single month.
Mm-hmm.
I was furloughed from work. You couldn't really go out. I was streaming every single day. So the payments I was getting every single month, I was using to, upgrade the hardware that I had.
Yeah, to improve the quality of everything.
Yeah, to improve the quality, but also to improve the content.
Yeah.
But I'm in a position now where nothing needs upgrading.
Because your stream's perfect, you don't need to do that.
Well, Jan 21, the stream dropped off really because, hey ho, Salomon's got to go back to work.
Yeah.
The stream had to take a back seat so I could focus on getting back to work. And because of what I do for a 9 to 5, I had to take the time to, get back into it.
Would you do it full time, Sal?
I was just having this conversation with Dan earlier, and if my monthly bills were covered, then I would consider it.
It's a lot of hard work for not much guaranteed to come back, is it?
Don't get me wrong, mate. I'd love nothing more than rolling out of bed in the morning in my pajamas. I was going to say my underpants.
In me undies.
That's a TOS breach if you fire up the PC and get OBS on.
While you're scratching your lazy law.
I'd love nothing more though, just to roll out of bed and not worry about the 9 to 5 and crack on with the streaming. And I did it more or less every single day when I was furloughed in 2020. I moved into my first house in August 2020, so there was a bit of time where I was living with mum and dad. I didn't have the huge monthly outgoings compared to what I do now. And I think a lot of things have changed. I'm a dad. I've got a mortgage. I've got a family to support.
Yeah.
I would have to make sure that everything is covered and there's plenty of Sal pennies every month. I'd love to go full time, but you've got to weigh up both sides of the coin, right? It's kind of like jumping into the deep end and nothing's really guaranteed, is it?
What about you, Dan?
See, I really enjoy the streaming side. It's everything around it that I would struggle with.
In what way?
In the sense that you should be getting on the YouTube and making sure your shorts are being pumped out daily or whatever, but it's that stuff I struggle with.
Can I ask why you struggle with it, or what makes you think you struggle with it? Because your YouTube's it's got a lot of bits and pieces on there, and you had a real push on it a couple of months ago.
I lasted January and then tailed off. That happens every time. I do it for a month. I'm like, yeah, this is my goal. I'm gonna create content. I'm gonna get stuff on YouTube.
Yeah.
I do about 4 videos. I'm like, fuck that. I'll go back to streaming.
Yeah.
It's a lot of hard work though, Dan, isn't it? Going live and broadcasting every single day is the easy part. It's what you do with that footage after that and the editing and the time consuming parts. If you did it full time, see, this is the thing. If I did content creation full time, you wouldn't stream 7 days a week, would you? So in the days that you wouldn't stream, you would spend that time looking at the footage that you've made and making it into YouTube videos and shorts and admin and all the other stuff that comes with it.
I politely disagree with that. Because Twitch offers you an excellent opportunity where people will want to consume the live content, and you might be live on a Tuesday morning after just climbing out your pit and having a shower and brushing your teeth, and it might be 10 o'clock. You could get that one raid that pumps it.
Yeah.
I think people have to be live on Twitch as much as possible in order to get discovered. But then when they're offline, they should be, like Dan was saying, they should be pumping out the shorts. They should have them stacked so they're releasing every day. And so everything points them towards Twitch. And then as YouTube grows and grows and grows and gets bigger and bigger for them, that starts to monetize and make the money as well. I think Twitch is far, far more important than a lot of people give it credit for in the streaming sphere. I think if you're not live, people will go and watch someone else.
Just to spin it on the other side of that conversation.
Yeah.
In terms of discoverability with Twitch, the recommended streamers section.
Yeah.
I get more traffic from that than I do from any of my YouTube videos or anything I've posted on TikTok.
Yeah.
I think what I've carried over from other services is close to zero. What's it called? The recommended streamers section. That's I'm always in there for people, and people just drop in and say, "Hey, I just saw you got recommended. Drop you a follow," and they stick around.
Yeah. You bang out a lot of hours as well, Snakes, considering you're full time.
Yeah, I mean, I would love to be able to do this as a full-time thing.
Would you swap it for being an educator? Yeah,
Potentially for a bit.
Yeah.
Like if my stream and like other platforms were making me enough money to potentially even dip down to part-time teaching.
Yeah.
And then I could supplement the rest of my income through making content, I'd do it in a heartbeat. But I think the issue is, I think there's a lot more discoverability on Twitch, and I think one of the things with Twitch is that I think it's not necessarily the one that's going to make you all the money, right? But it feels like it's the one that's making you all the money because you can see the subs come in, you can see this and you can see that. Whereas with YouTube and stuff, once you hit partner, you're looking at ad revenue and stuff like that. So that's more of a steady stream of income. I think the issue with it as well is like you could have, regardless of like your size as a streamer, you could have some really, really shitty days.
Oh, of
and
course.
I mean, if you look at content creators like, I don't know, Pestilli or Landmark or some of the big boys, right? Obviously, they're making an awful lot of money on Twitch, and they can then afford to pay an editor to edit all of their content. So all they need to do is put it together, and then someone else will do that for them. I think the issue that I have is because I love editing videos. I love it. I really enjoy doing it, and I really enjoy creating stuff like that. As much as I enjoy streaming, I think the issue is time. Because, like you said, I've got a full-time job, and it's a full-time job and a wife and a dog, and it's one of those issues that I don't necessarily have the time to put as much as I want to into making content. Like, my job doesn't always finish when the kids go home. It never does. I have to take work home with me. I was planning lessons today, right? And I'm on half term.
Yeah.
So it's not a job that starts at 9 o'clock and finishes at 5.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, my life working in the system that I'm working in now, my work-life balance has improved drastically because, my biggest class is 6 kids. So, my marking workload has dropped, and I don't have to take 70, 80 books home every weekend and mark them or mark loads and loads of assessments because I've got a smaller class size.
Just on that point, I was going to say, what was the biggest class size you had, and how was that for how did you cope with that?
The scheduling.
Whilst content creation?
Content creation and the biggest class size you had.
I think biggest class size I had was 35, but I had a load of classes. So because I was a middle leader as well, because I was a department head, I basically took on all of our GCSE students. So I had 3 classes a year 10, all of them say average 30, 2 classes a year 11, all average 30. Marking, I had to mark books every 2 weeks, so that cycle never really stops because you're not going to be able to mark all of your classes. So I had 10 classes, that's 300 books. I'm not going to be able to mark those all in a weekend. So you'd have to stagger it. And then you get to assessment season, and not only have you got those 300 books to mark, but you've also got 300 sets of assessments to mark as well. And I probably didn't manage it as well as I could, but I wasn't making as much YouTube content. I was trying to, but it was very sporadic. My editing wasn't great, and I didn't have the time. So now I can kind of balance it better. Like I stuck to like a 2 or 3 day a week schedule in terms of streaming, like literally only 3 hours, so it wasn't a huge amount. But I then had to kind of spend an awful lot more time doing other stuff as well. And like I would essentially my Saturday because the missus was working, and even now my Saturday is I do work and then do like the occasional stream or like a short stream, and then I won't stream Sunday or you know what I mean. Like
Yeah.
it's a balancing act, man, and it's not a balancing act that is sustainable at all. Like I was very, very, very burnt out. But then I think a lot of that was to do with I had lost an awful lot of love for education.
I recall that phase.
Yeah,
I
wasn't
recall you
happy.
going through that. Yeah,
I wasn't happy at all, and like moving into this pupil referral unit is made it. I've got a love for education again, because it feels like I'm actually doing something that's fucking worthwhile. Whereas working in mainstream, it got to the point where it just felt like I was
like a conveyor belt.
I was just doing fucking paperwork all the time. Like I wasn't a teacher. I might as well have just got a 9 to 5 job in an office and fucking spent my entire time staring at Excel because that's all I was fucking doing anyway. I think without derailing the podcast entirely and turning it into a politics podcast, the state of education at the moment.
It's about us. It's about you. It's more of an insight into kind of us as a person, and we're chatting about content and it being sustainable and cyclical, and we've moved on to timings and scheduling and whether we would chase it or whether we would change and do it, and we're just sharing that experience. I think it's a really good topic. I honestly do. Talking to the three of you about it, I feel like I know you pretty well anyhow, but I therefore feel like it's kind of like enriched my knowledge of you as people.
Yeah, I get that, mate.
And I mean that in the best possible way. I'm not, I like to meme and piss about, lads, but I'm not. I'm being genuine for a change. I'll invoice you later for it.
It's a bit of a change of pace for us because we're normally focusing on a game at the same time, and most of our talk is about the game.
Yeah, and
so it's the first time for us to sit down and actually talk about what we're doing outside of games.
Yeah, of course, but people will find that interesting. There'll be people that'll listen to that and they'll listen to Sneaks and what he's saying and they'll resonate with that.
Yeah.
There's people who listen to what Sal said about lockdown, about how it was brilliant because you're furloughed and you've got all the time, although, lockdown was terrible. And people will resonate with that and they'll have good memories of, getting pissed every night during lockdown while gaming. And, and it's good. And it'll invoke memories for people. And it's completely off the cuff and unscripted.
Going back to what we were saying earlier, and we were, on about, Twitch should be the primary source of content creation and things like that. The reason that I say about YouTube and TikTok and Facebook and all that stuff is because they generate revenue.
Yes. And you're 1000% correct. And I do agree with you on that. And I'm sure the boys will as well. You've got to have a range of revenue streams.
Agreed.
That's not just for content creation.
Yeah, it's like, don't put your eggs in one basket. That's what I'm trying to say, yeah. If you're looking at going into full-time content creation, it's like what I said before, you've got to judge up both sides of the coin, right?
Yeah.
What I'm trying to say is that you shouldn't only rely on Twitch being your primary source of income. If Twitch goes pop tomorrow, then you're fucked, aren't you?
Yeah, of course. The comparator I would use for that, and I hope you don't mind me referencing, Dan, that you work in IT, right?
I do.
If you went and you decided I was going to go out and go self-employed and go my own way and open my own company, great. You wouldn't then, as a sole trader or a registered company, you wouldn't then just focus on one thing. You would branch out and you would maybe move from doing everything you're doing every day now, and you would expand on that to do other little bits so it generates more revenue for you coming in. And that's where your multiple revenue streams would be, yeah?
Exactly that, yeah.
Yeah. And that's just a comparator to Twitch. But some people on Twitch are not doing that. But you boys are absolutely right, and you are 1000% right again, Sal, that you have to have multiple income revenues if you want to have a good stab at being a content creator.
It's like let's take Gaz for instance, right? He's
Mr. TikTok.
absolutely all over TikTok. Yeah,
He's brilliant, isn't he?
he's very good. He's
We're
very
going to
good.
get him on as a guest one week.
I'd love to get him on as a guest.
It'd be carnage, wouldn't it? It'd be brilliant.
Gaz, are you listening?
He's very clever in what he's done. So, and it's just going back to what I said before. Yeah, you use Twitch as a primary platform, but then it's what you do with that footage. Dan hits the nail on the head, really. Dan has dabbled in streaming to YouTube, right?
I did at one point, because I've recently been invited into the Twitch enhanced broadcasting beta. I've been focusing more on that. Come on, you're in it as well, Gray. Come on.
But what I'm trying to say is, so, you know, all right, you used to dual stream, right? So you stream to YouTube and Twitch, which means that, you know, after so many days, Twitch VODs get deleted.
Yeah.
So, but you've always got that cloud storage of all your VODs. People can just go and watch them at any time.
Yeah.
So for me, it's a no-brainer. And then from that footage, you can make shorts. And then you can put shorts on YouTube. You can put shorts on Facebook. You can put shorts on TikTok. All these platforms pay for views and engagement with communities. So it's a no-brainer. What he was doing with YouTube is just, it's genius, really. And at the cost of what? It doesn't cost anything to dual stream, right?
No, just a little bit more of my CPU. That's it.
And you get better video quality from YouTube.
A lot better.
1,000%
there we
better.
go.
Yeah.
So there we go then.
I loved streaming on YouTube because I think all you guys know that, like, one, I'm an excellent broadcaster, right?
Fact.
Two, the gameplay is what the kids call lit, right? And three, I like to make sure that a broadcast is kind of done in the highest quality or the highest graphic settings, so it's immersive. I think you should all agree with all three of them points. Am I right?
Yep.
100%.
100%.
Maybe he's one of them. I'm being a bit, overzealous.
My biggest bugbear with Twitch is the quality of the stream.
Yeah, YouTube was absolutely amazing quality when I was pushing out 1440p. The problem being was I was getting no viewers, whereas on Twitch now sometimes I pick up 15, 16, 22, 24, which is fantastic. It's absolutely amazing. On YouTube, you get 4 or 5.
Yeah, but let me ask you this. When you started on Twitch, was you getting viewers straight away?
Yeah.
Oh, you was?
Have you seen me? Of course I was. Have you seen me? People were coming in, Sal, and they were like, fuck me, how handsome are you? I was like, I know, welcome to the stream. How did you find the channel? I Googled handsome. No.
I remember like the early days of streaming, I used to stream from my PlayStation 4 and that would go direct to YouTube.
Yeah.
And that's how I'd do it. Yeah. And
I did the same thing with Xbox.
Yeah.
Xbox to Mixer. Come on.
Did you stream the Mixer?
I did very, very early on. You were with the Xbox. You were kind of like the app was just baked in because it was like Microsoft.
Yeah.
So they kind of push you into making an account. I was like, yeah, fuck it, I'll have a go.
Hang on. They push you into making an account.
Oh no, it's the app's
Did you go
there.
mental? Did you kick off on social media? Because everybody recently has gone mental about Sony pushing people into making accounts.
True.
That's a different topic altogether. Go on, sorry, mate.
I mean, they're both linked with a Microsoft account. You have a Microsoft account for Xbox and Mixer, so it's the same account. You've already got the account. You just log into Mixer and make a username.
Yeah,
it's slightly different.
I think that's a pretty good segue. Going back to what Sal was saying and talking about the fact that you can't just rely on Twitch as a revenue stream. Because when Mixer died, and a lot of like partnered Mixer streamers, or whatever the equivalent was, I think it was still partner, they lost everything because they didn't supplement they weren't making content anywhere else. And then they got offered Facebook partner, but Facebook gaming, the engagement is awful.
Horrendous.
And same with YouTube, and I think that's one of the problems with YouTube, right? If you're streaming on YouTube, the discoverability on YouTube is shockingly bad at the moment. Kind of to jump back into what we were talking about, kind of financials and stuff like that. With my Twitch payout at the moment, because in my past, and I am trying to be better. I have made some fairly poor financial decisions. Like I've got debt to clear and cost of living crisis and everything else. Like having a mortgage and paying bills and stuff. Like I earn a fair amount more than my wife. She's a barber. I've been teaching for 10 years, and it's the pay scales up as you go along.
Yeah.
So like money's tight month to month. So a lot of the time, as much as I would like to put it aside, a lot of the time my Twitch payout,
can you?
It goes on paying fucking bills and stuff like that. And sometimes he's got to, because like it gets to the end of the month, and a lot of it is through my own stupid decisions and being incredibly bad with money. Like I've got a fair amount of shit that I've got to clear off, and also make sure that we got dog food and everything else. Like it's just
of course.
It's just one of them.
I was saying, you've got to make sure the bills are covered. You've got to make sure the bills are covered.
I've always been open with like all of my shit, and I think that's one of the advantages of me being an educator. Because like I've spoken about my mental health, I've spoken about money and stuff like that, so I'm more than happy to talk about it. More than happy.
The key factors in content creation, in streaming and gaming, and in everyday life as well, aren't they? These issues that are present in society. They're not just limited. So you know what? I really, really respect you for the journey that you've been on, because you have been a massive advocate for other people's mental health, and you have spoken about issues that you've had yourself. And so I feel like I want you to know that. I think I might have told you before, but I've got the opportunity to now to tell you again. 1000%. I take my hat off to you.
I really appreciate it, and like I think, like I totally understand why, especially larger streamers. I totally understand.
Talking about people who are like 6'6".
Yeah, just really, really tall,
really tall
streamers,
people, larger streamers. Yeah, that's me and you, Al.
No, I think like especially I totally understand why people who are larger in terms of numbers and like their financial income and stuff. I totally understand why, and believe me, it would have made my life an awful lot easier when students did find out that I streamed. If I hadn't have had a cam, or I'd have gone the VTube route or whatever else. But I totally understand why an awful lot of people either keep a lot of stuff about them guarded, and I do to an extent. But I also understand why a lot of streamers and content creators have like this persona, like you know what I mean. Like they're not John Smith. They are YouTube name.
Yeah, and they live that.
And I understand that. I totally understand that. But I also think that there's a place to like. That's just not me. Like I'm not one to be like playing an alter ego. Like I feel like I am. If you met me in the street, I'd be the same person that you see on Twitch.
I think that's the same. I think that's the same for all four of us. Like when I met Sal and we had a coffee, he was exactly how I expected him to be.
I'm the same person on and off stream.
Oh, same, mate. Same.
I can vouch for Mr. Sneaks, having met him in person. He's exactly the same. I've met Nonny, exactly the same. Ontorius, exactly the same. Hercules, exactly the same.
Sal will tell you that I walked out of Starbucks as he was walking across the car park and shouted across the car park 24/7, baby.
He actually did as well, boys.
So people in Starbucks thought, who's that mentalist? And then people outside of Starbucks thought, is he all right?
I hope in Starbucks when you're ordering your drinks, you went, oh, can I get a coffee for me? And can you get a PG tips for my friend here?
No, I wouldn't disrespect a man like that.
Nah, I'm gonna be openly honest now. I said to Gray, I went, what are you drinking, mate? And he said, I'll have a tea. I promise you now, he said, I'll have a tea.
I'll have a tea?
Oh, wait, you fucking won't. You'll have a coffee, mate.
I had just had a delicious coffee.
There is no way Starbucks do fucking Yorkshire tea, mate. It would have been PG tips all over again.
I was thinking of going more down the kind of green tea or peppermint or something like that. Something a bit refreshing.
There's nothing refreshing of PG tips, mate.
You know.
Whereas what actually happened was Gray vibrated out of the Starbucks because the amount of caffeine that was in his system.
I was off my tits.
Very large.
I was off.
No wonder he shouted 24/7,
Yeah.
baby, in the car park, mate.
It was an accidental response.
Yeah, Ed appointments after that, mate. I was buzzing. I didn't think I got to sleep till 4 o'clock in the morning that night. that might have had something to do with red wine, though, at future meetings. But yeah, that's a different podcast altogether.
But that red wine review podcast that you do on the weekends.
I'm thinking of starting one up, mate.
Yeah.
I'm thinking of starting one up.
You and Joe at a pond, mate. You'd be match made in heaven right there.
Exactly.
You two talking about wine, sorted.
This is what I think the issue is with people jumping out at the deep end. And I call it jumping out at the deep end because that's what you're doing, right?
Yeah.
If you're going from working a 9 to 5 to jumping in the deep end, doing full-time content creation,
yeah,
you're basing it. I'd love to know what you guys think of this, but you know, when you get the likes of these big time streamers and you know that they sit on like X amount of subs every month and X amount of bits that come in every month and ad revenue and things like that, and you quickly realize how much you can make, especially by playing Escape from Tarkov. And you know, the time it came out, it was a brand new game and no one had ever seen anything like it.
I think that's why Tarkov blew up. I think that's why it got absolutely flooded with people streaming it.
I remember the early days of Tarkov, yeah. There was only 2 streamers I would watch playing Tarkov. One was Pestilly, and the other was Deadly Slob.
Yep.
And they were the only 2 streamers that I would watch playing the game. Don't get me wrong, there was probably hundreds of other streamers that were probably streaming Escape from Tarkov and making content about it, but for me, it was always Pestilly and Deadly Slob who were pumping out, you know, the content for the game. So there's a lot of people out there who thought at the time of release, you know, let's jump in the deep end and let's try this content creation. Let's see how it goes.
It had the drops that January, wasn't it? That Christmas in that January. I remember, and it's a true story, right? Because you could have like 8 or 9 streams open, couldn't you? For the first ever big drops. And you were getting them then like constantly. You remember that? I had the PC running and the 3 monitors, and I must have had 4 streams open on each monitor, right? One night, I couldn't sleep. And I don't know why I couldn't sleep. I think I just wasn't tired. So
red wine.
Probably the one. So I got up. This is true. Swear to God, right? Got up and I thought, I'll just go and sit in the office and I'll watch a bit of So I had, what's his name on? The Australian lad with the glasses and the beard. Oh, plays with Pestilly and Red.
Slush.
I had Slush on, right? And I thought, I'll make him full screen because he's bouncing, he's good streamer.
He's fucking funny.
He's so funny. He's quality. He's absolute quality. So I'm sitting watching it and I'm kind of chuckling quietly. Anyhow, behind me, the wife walks in. You got to bear in mind, it's like 4:15 in the morning and I shouldn't be up, but I am. And I'm watching Slush play Tarkov for drops. She says to me, and I quote, "What are you doing?" I says, "Oh, I couldn't sleep. I'm watching some drops." She went, "For fuck's sake, Graham, it's not even fucking porn. It's just some beard nerd playing fucking Tarkov." Goes back to bed. So that I typed into Slush's chat. He might remember. I don't know if he listened to this, but he might remember. I typed into his chat what had just been said and happened, and he burst out laughing. And then he turns around and he goes, "Can I come watch porn with you guys?"
Oh, that sentence from your wife, like I would be more impressed if you were sat there beating it than you are watching some bloke play a video game from Australia.
I actually, you know, when like the next morning, it was like you have that little, as a man, and we're all married, yeah, and as a man who doesn't quite think normally because he's still a bit childish and you haven't grown up, you go at 11 o'clock, you go, "Do you know what you said last night?" "Yeah." "Do you know if I was?" "No, that wouldn't be acceptable." Where do you guys think the money is on Twitch? Do you think it's in subs?
I think it's bits.
Yeah, bits you get a better cut from as a creator.
Yeah.
But I think more people are like inclined to sub than necessarily spend bits unless you have something like Bitbot or something like that. But then again, some people, because of the cost of bits in certain countries, so for example, Staffels, the cost of bits for him where he lives is like wildly expensive in comparison to like the UK.
Yeah. Where at that level, when you hit that level, because of those points you've just raised there, Snakes, the money is in ads. It's in the one thing everybody hates and everybody loves to hate and everybody loves to shit on. But at that level, ads absolutely make what do they call it? Make the bag. Is that what the kids call it?
Yeah, get the bag.
Get in the bag.
Get the bag.
Ads at that level absolutely make the money for people on Twitch. All right, I'll give you some facts and figures. So for me this month, income generated from subscriptions, is just over $35. This is just for me. What do you think my income is generated from ads? Because bear in mind, I've had some big raids off the likes of Sneaks, bringing in the 20s and the 30s, Mr. Ting bringing in the 90s and the 100s.
Probably $10.
Yeah, I'd say probably around 10.
Nearly 70.
$70 in ads?
Yeah.
How many are you running?
Fuck me, what am I doing wrong?
Because when those people come in with those massive raids, I hit the ad button. You'll notice then I'll lose some that stop. So if it then goes to like 110, 115 and 15 drop off, I didn't care. I'll run another ad. And you've got to play the system. And a lot of people will be subbed and a lot of people will have Twitch Prime, what's it called? Turbo. Because it offers good value for money, I think.
Yeah,
Ads, even for somebody who's such a little tiny minuscule corner of the platform like myself, ads make the money. And people need to get out of this thought process of thinking ads are the devil. They're not.
They're only the devil for the consumer, mate.
Yeah,
I could show you a comparison of mine because I don't do that, and I run the bare minimum of adverts. It's 30 seconds, and then they're gone for as long as possible. So my paid subs, I get this month. I've had $40.24, 24 cents. Sorry, and then for ads, I've had $1.18.
If you'd have run them ads, Dan, because you get fatty rates as well.
Yep.
You'd have probably been closer to the $30 mark. However, I'm going to hold my hands up. I don't run the ads. I abuse the ads. And that's the difference. That's the baldy difference, listeners.
So my biggest slice is cheering. So from
there, you've got a very, very, very well. All you and Sneaks, have got a very, very interactive stream in which the chat control the flow. They've got so many fantastic options to engage with you with. Whereas me, because I'm old and grumpy and I don't know how to do it really, I just just have channel points. You can just abuse the channel points.
Yeah, I'd rather people be enjoying that than sitting through adverts.
Yeah.
The only thing you can't do on Dan's stream is answer his Ring doorbell.
Or turn the cooker on.
There was a period where I don't think she knows this, but she'll find out when she listens. But I was doing some testing, and you could turn on one of the bedroom lights in our room when someone
I remember that.
And I think I forgot to turn it off.
Yeah.
And I saw the light was on. I was like, oh shit.
I remember watching that. And you come back, you disappeared, you come back and you went, I'll have to take that redemption off. I think someone's just tried to wake the wife up in bed. I was like, what? I remember that.
So we've talked about would we go into full-time content creation, and there's some really good answers there from everyone. And what I want to talk about now is the costs of going into full-time content creation. And that can be anything from, the cost of a keyboard to, building a PC, to monitors, to lights, to cameras, everything like that. It all comes at a cost, doesn't it? So it'd be good to talk about that.
I would love to know what everyone started with. Like, what did you have before you started buying upgrades?
Yeah, I was gonna just see it when I started. Like we mentioned it earlier, you boys were talking about you used to stream on your PlayStation and your Xbox. I didn't. I was a console gamer, and then I decided I was going to give it a bash because I wanted it kind of a different hobby. I felt like, console gaming was, it was all right, it was cool, but I wanted to get something that was going to challenge me, and I felt that jumping into live stream would be a challenge. And we covered this on another episode. Anyhow, was to kind of where we are now with it and the reasons why we still pursue it, and mine's to try and generate so I can help other people. So my first PC that I bought was I think it was an Intel 5 or an Intel 6, and it was an 8 core, and it was with a 1080 graphics card. Now that was in 2018 when I realized at that point, after giving it a go and trying it for a little while, that one, you needed more cores. Two, you start to look at the audio quality, and as you boys is rightly on about, you start dipping into microphones and things like that. But from then to now, the amount of money I've spent, and I don't mind sharing it with you, and please feel free to either have a go at me or not, is in excess of 15,000 quid.
Lend us a tenner.
Because I went quickly from Intel into Ryzen, and then into Ryzen, into the 20 series, into the 30 series, into the 40 series, back to Intel, dual PCs, DSLRs, Go XLRs, Shure microphones, lighting, desks. That's the journey from 2017 to now. And although you definitely do not need to spend that much money to get to a certain point. I'm aware I've been fortunate in life, but yeah, that's my journey.
See, I'm completely different to that. I remember my first PC, and I had to have the side off it, mate, because it was going to fucking blow up.
Oh, really? What, overheating?
I would play. Do you remember when PUBG hit the market? Battlegrounds.
Yeah.
I would play that with friends.
Do you know what I love there? You spelled out what PUBG meant to the old bloke.
It's just a bit like lemon and lime, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, just for reference, I'm drinking a delicious zero sugar 7-Up lemon and lime.
Again, you've just described the flavour of 7-Up.
Tricksters. It doesn't say on the can that it's got lemon and lime. It doesn't say it. See, Tricksters, I knew you were going to do this.
Great, can you just read the ingredients?
It says 0 sugar, refreshing 7-Up taste, 0 sugar, only to be sold as part of a multi-pack. That's all it says on the can.
No, it doesn't.
It does?
It says, it'll tell you what the contents are.
It'll tell you the ingredients.
So read the ingredients from the top.
Oh, mate, I cannot read this even with my glasses. Hang on, let me shine this in the light. Carbonated water, citric acid.
It doesn't say anything before that.
Nah. Flavoring, acidity regulator. Was that codium? No, sodium. Sorry.
Right.
Sodium citrate. Sweeteners.
Nah, this is a lot of bollocks.
I'll take a picture and send you it.
I've not long finished the can, mate, so I'm going to dig out my bin and I'll read it to
you. Oh, it's got on the bottom, lemon and lime flavoured.
Oh, there we go. And guys, that was part 2 of
Learning with Sal.
So the PC that I had, I bought it from Curry's like years and years and years ago, and every time I would play with the boys, it would blue screen. Oh, mate, without a shadow of a doubt. It was the PC I used for music production when I was at uni. It was absolutely useless for gaming. And I mean, when I used to play games, I would know every time it would just blue screen. But this was the time when I was streaming on console, so PC streaming wasn't really a thing for me, before 2020.
Really?
And I think it was Christmas 2018. I'd been looking at building a PC, and I decided to, buy a load of parts from eBay, and friends and family chipped in and bought some other parts as well. And that's when I built my first gaming PC.
Good lad.
I had the PC for about 4 years. And then the year before last, I decided to get a new rig that had obviously more relevant hardware. But like where you was going on of having different series of processor or graphics card. In the first PC, I think the graphics card was a 1070 Ti. And then this rig that I've got now is a 3070 Ti. So I missed a whole generation of cards and spent a fortune on it, mate.
Of course you will have.
Over the years, where you said you reckon you've done about 15, I would say I've probably done about 6 or 7.
Yeah.
And that includes, monitors and keyboards and mice and all that stuff, cables and all the other stuff that helps with the production of the stream, the broadcast.
So what about if you toss all of your audio equipment into that you use from time to time
into the price.
Into the price.
That's where I'm getting it, about 6 or 7K, I would say. Yeah,
That's still a good chunk in it.
The audio equipment alone's probably about £700-800.
Not including the guitars you plug into it as well.
Yeah, guitars.
Oh well, yeah, and then you've got the desk, and then you've got
So how much in total? I bet it's near a 10. Maybe it's 12.
No, it won't be near 10. For the full disclosure of my missus who listens to this podcast, it was 6 or 7, not 10.
10 quid.
10 quid, yeah. 10
yeah,
quid.
boys, it was the cost of everything was about a tenner. The rig that I've got now, because I was lazier the second time round and got someone to build it, that was close to the £3,000 mark. Then with the old rig, which was probably about 2. Then with everything else, it might be close to 10 grand, mate, but I don't write it down.
She'll get murdered.
I'll get murdered, mate, yeah.
Come on, Sneaks, you're up. Come to the church of content and confess your sins, brother.
Oh, sorry, that doesn't take into consideration PS5 was 700 quid. The Xboxes have got the PlayStations.
There we go.
The console, the games. Fuck me. Yeah, you probably are talking about 10 grand.
Yeah, have you heard that, Mrs. Sneaks? Did you hear that? Mrs. Sal? Mrs. Sal, did you hear that? Hello, Mrs. Sal?
I heard every word of it, Gray. Don't you worry.
So I think in terms of since I started streaming, because I had a PC before the one that I've got now, which was like, I bought it off my mate. It was like 200 quid and it was a piece of shit. It had like a 970 in it. DDR3. It would not run Warzone at all. Like, whatsoever. It barely run fucking Counter-Strike at one point until I had to upgrade the RAM, which was to more DDR3, but just bigger sticks. It was nothing. But it was the wife's 30th birthday. She wanted a PC, and her parents bought her a PC, and I basically borrowed the money off her old man to build exactly the same PC. And essentially, that is what I've still got now. And I think they were about $2,500 new when we bought them, which was three and a bit years ago now, nearly 4 years ago. So I've got i9 with 3080 in it. I've upgraded the RAM recently to 64 gig of DDR4 rather than 36. So the extra RAM probably cost me about 100 quid because I think I got them on sale. The monitor. So I've got 3 monitors, and I think they probably cost me about 200 quid each a pop because I got them on sale again. The camera that I've got was 200 quid because I got it second hand. The Rode capture card / audio interface Go XLR situation that I've got was about 150 quid. Steam Deck was probably about 100 quid. Lighting, I didn't actually pay for that. Emma got me that for my birthday. Nice. And then the one I had before that, Dan gave to me. And then the switch broke on it, so that was the only reason I stopped using it. The lens on the camera, bought a new lens to do more like painting streams because the lens that I had on it was the stock lens originally for my DSLR, but then I had to get a macro lens because a lot of the miniature stuff that I was painting wasn't picking up properly on it, so it just looked shit. I wanted to really create content for it. That was 75 quid because I managed to pick that up second hand. I'm probably in for about 4 or 5 grand. The desk I got a fucking bargain on. It was a tenner.
A tenner for a desk?
It's a massive fucking office desk, and some geezer was selling it because he was going back to work in the office. So I bought the desk and some IKEA drawers off him for 50 quid all in. And most of that were the fucking drawers. And then like the 2 camera arms I've got, because I've got 2 camera arms for my DSLR, because I've got an elbow shaped desk and I do my painting on one side of it. So I've got a second camera arm. They were about 40 quid each because they're like really adjustable. So I'm probably in for about 3 or 4 grand plus.
Still a chunk in it.
It is still a chunk, but I think I've done it like over time. Yeah, Emma's just walked in, so I'm a dead man.
I was just going to say, I thought the mic cut, and I thought I heard Emma say something as the mic cut, and I thought, has she just bubbled him with like...
Yeah, but no, honestly, she couldn't give a fuck, mate, because I think her PC is literally pretty much the same cost as mine.
Yeah.
The strength with Sneaks is they've got this similar hobby, haven't they? They're both enjoying PC gaming.
Yeah. Oh, she's the reason that I got into PC gaming. If it wasn't for her, I wouldn't stream.
Yeah.
Because I never got the whole streaming thing until I got with Emma, and then she watched a lot of like Northern Lion and other content and stuff like that. And she got me back into PC gaming because like before her, my ex, like I never had the time, like the money, or like she never wanted me to get a PC, so I was only gaming on console and stuff like that. So then I got back into PC gaming through my wife.
Dan, I hope you've been writing a list, mate.
Mate, I generally
Since I met him, Sal.
The whole time we've been talking, I've been looking around like, fucking hell, how do we like itemize all of this?
Don't worry, mate. You can just use that voice changer and hide your identity if you want.
Okay, here we go.
So my first PC was basically built with scrap, and it was built to almost the bare minimum for PUBG. And then from there, a little game called Tarkov came along. I needed to upgrade, but I could get away with just the GPU. Everything else was fine. And that's when I kind of started PC streaming. I did like some stuff on the consoles before, but then Tarkov is where it pushed me into actually doing a stream from a PC. I didn't know really what I was doing or where it was going to go, so I kind of bought bare minimum, like audio wise. I bought it's basically a kit off Amazon where you get like the microphone, a boom arm, a pop filter. I think it was about 27 quid.
I did the same thing, actually.
Yeah. And then you slap voice meter on it. You make it as good as you can. It needed a gate. Gate was the worst bit about it. Like I'd be like playing the sound of my mic into my headset, and I could hear footsteps in the house. I could hear Jess like stirring a cup of tea downstairs. It was just so ridiculously sensitive. After that, I think the microphone got upgraded first, and then I went to a Blue Yeti, and then I got talked into starting streaming with a camera because before I just wasn't using one.
Mm-hmm.
So I went to a Logitech C920.
Mate, what a camera that was.
Yeah.
Mate, I got one of them as well. Yeah.
I ran that for a little bit, and I was like, the game's in 60 frames, but the camera's not, and it was really bugging me. That's where the OCD started kicking in, so I upgraded that to a Logitech Brio, where you could film in 1080p 60.
Mm-hmm.
Then everything was nice and smooth. And then I started learning about, interactivity with the stream. And then that's where that light bar that sits behind me, ended up buying that. That was 180 quid. So it has to be Wi-Fi enabled to talk to the PC for people to be able to trigger it into different colors. And then went down a rabbit hole of interactivity. Bought a thermal receipt printer as well, so people could print stupid messages. I'm looking at you, Sneaks, because you're fond of that.
Listen, I barely have any channel points in your fucking channel because I just spend them on that and sus average quotes. That's it. It's brilliant.
It's brilliant. It is.
So as this like interactivity side started to build up, I needed to offload some of the CPU load onto another PC. So that's where dual streaming came in. And then I met someone called Gray. Somebody called Gray.
Don't you dare. Don't you dare pin this on me.
Started watching his streams. I was like, fucking hell, his camera looks good. His audio sounds good. So we struck up a few conversations, and I was like, fucking hell, I need to spend some more money. I think I bought a pod mic or a Go XLR. Soon after that, a DSLR. And then after that, it was just steady upgrades to the PCs.
Yeah.
So whatever gets upgraded in the gaming PC then gets rolled over to the streaming PC. So there's a constant like cycling of both of them getting upgraded as we move forward. In terms of things like lighting, all of that I've tried to buy like second hand. I've got like the Elgato key lights, but both of those are second hand. I bought them both off eBay, and I wanted these for more interactivity, basically. So people could turn them on and off when people sub. One of them turns off, and the other one gives a bit of side lighting. What else have I bought? Headsets. Merchandise. I've been for a few headsets. Keyboard. I've had the same one all the way through. Mice. I've rotated round. Stream Deck. Bought one of those as well. Second Go XLR was shipped over to me by Gray. That's purely so I can adjust music on a slider on the other PC. That's all it does. It just sits there and does that. So I want to be able to control my music on the fly. I don't want it always at the same volume. If there's a song I like, I want to crank it up. And that comes at a cost.
Guys, following up from episode 3 of the podcast, we've all had to go into hiding from our partners because they've just found out how much we've spent on technology over the years. I just want to say a massive thank you again to everyone who's taken the time to listen to the podcast so far. Get in touch. Let us know what you think. We're on Twitter at the Unheard Cast. Guys, for now, you've been listening to
The Unheard Podcast.